The show that emerges when the magician combines illusion with danger is the combination that produces the highest entertainment coefficient. That's why we've seen more ridiculous tricks so far. So, from the famous sword swing trick to the crazy stuff the magician did, let's get started. Today we'll reveal the secrets behind the most dangerous magic trick of all time, bound sword trick performed by Eden Crown, known as a famous magician, possibly the most dangerous trick ever done on talent paths around the world. Here's what he does. First, he calls one of several audience members and judges to the stage to start his act involving sharp objects. Eden takes a burning candle and he drips the hot and melted wax into his closed eyes so that he seals them and completely shuts them down. Then he ties up his eyes with 3 different materials: white gauze and then black tape and finally aluminum foil. Makes this audience and the judges see nothing. He then starts using various sharp objects, including the sword, first cuts objects held by the audience, and finally cuts a pineapple perfectly on Howie Mandel's head. So how can he do these dangerous tricks? The secret is now probably Howie's how-do. You think he was persuaded to do this move, which constitutes a great us for his own life? Frankly, this is a very classic Hollywood secret that Howie Enon knew beforehand, otherwise why would he risk human life? Also, the magician performs this trick several times in front of the producers of the program with stuntmen. He must have been approved to do the same, because he must have been convinced that nothing will go wrong in their productions live. That's why they haven't learned the trick of the trick. Now, back to the trick. The trick consists of 2 parts. The first is the wax pouring from the burning candle, and the second is the blindfolded part. So how did Elon's eyes get rid of the melted wax? Obviously the wax can be very hot. You should never try this at home or anywhere. Also, if you see this graph, you can see how much damage your skin is when exposed to high temperature. So if the exposure time is too short, it has a melting point below 50 degrees. Any wax will not harm our skin. The liquid wax you see here must be paraffin wax or milligram with a low melting point. You can also observe Ellen holding her hand and keeping the lit candle away from her eyes so neither liquid wax gets enough time to cool while pouring, and as we know, the wax melts and it only takes a few seconds to harden completely. Then he has enough time to open his eyes blindfolded while the wax is still warm and soft. Even if the wax has completely cooled down, it is a thin layer of wax that he can easily remove from his face. Here is an explanation of how to keep his eyes safe. Now we come to the next part: how she sliced her mother once her eyes were totally safe and she could see the veil. Otherwise, show producers will never let anyone do this dangerous act blindfolded. But how come she can see through all the layers? First, she wraps white gauze and black tape and aluminum follows the foil. First of all, none of them were fully wrapped around her head, and the way she wraps everything was just a trick. Ellen is an excellent illusionist, and her left hand index finger, if you check, you can see her fingers sneak in and take off the eye patch. At the same time, she wraps an aluminum foil around her head and makes finger movements so the gauze is like an eye mask that can be lifted and lowered again. Well, what do you think of the aluminum foil outer cover? Frankly, the white gauze and the black tape was the perfect cover that completely covered his eyes, but the foil we see on his head is not aluminum foil. It's more of a Cara one-way reflective glass material known as silver window, which is also applied to windows, and a transparent material that you can easily see inside. Thus, it wraps 2 layers of the material, one in front of the other behind the head, and then separates them discreetly, and then, as we know, it can easily cut objects since it is no longer obstructed vision. Still, swinging a sword over a person's head, isn't it dangerous? Yes, but the sword you see is not real. It's a rigged sword that could only be plastic also, and with the pineapple placed on Howie's head, it's 90% to 95% cut anyway, so you only need a little force to smash it. He also needed a rather thick metal bar to the right of his face. Buddha means that if the sword misses its target, it will bounce off the metal and will not hurt the man in any way. He puts the gauze back in its original position as he removes the foil to finally end this amazing act. Ellen is Lee Silarand Nafizan I Kesi your I can see numera 56 Sani Yed Cases Dirty O Herkasi Sok Eden Buletin Korkant Cases Eliminai Jersical Styron Show Adami Ist Yaptiji Se Patlamudan once Herkas Havita 6 meter Yukseklikt Asili Duran Ve Yer Dus Up Parkalanakak Olan Kudadan Mak Ison Sods 56 Sani Yisi Olduganu Soili Yurik Numeres in a Bas Liar Ve Buletin 56 Sani Yed Ellery Kudadan Sikmis Olarak Garula Bielsik Ve Buletin Cases Herktini and Kisa Shuard Tumam Lamak Ison Kalepsalaran Kilidini Akmak Zoran Dakalakak Kutunan Ison Nele Olup Bitiji Kamer Aller Kulanalarak filmialanak ve goranchulard ekranda tum sirsi lair gostera lesic erica kendazi calypsolaran jersik oldugunu ve highly almaticlarani tiated mek ison sunoculari bile kajarier boilus hercus indicatini secondersi kutuya gyra ve ustendeki copy copendiginda calypsolari kulanarik elrini kilitler 56 sani ye basler ve kutu 6 meter havaya caldera lir sahir baz calypsolaran kilidini akmea calisir ve her se biok ekranda sirsi ye gostera lir sonanda kutu patler ve yerduze ama. Aaron sak e dicey bersekil de siersanen ortasen da balirier ve tamaman eater piki tam olaraknaredan kasi ertersignen iseen gerdagi kutu numeranine anatar boliumunu olustran uralizic bermekanismea sahip erikadersignen siersi onund ordia siktiji yurdi sen eden uzak goranu yuryani 56 sani ye boyank sakutadan karptagini gordugunas elerin derisanen almadagi baskabiranen elleri old yuguasic buletin de kutunun isenden zaden gizan mispirizanen old yugunu asic liar eves kutuya gerdikten sonra on Urani. Alan G. Schiedersinen assistan I buletinuden ordia 2 sarosakir berdersi posagianunu assistan I il nasal digestirti iki assistan I nasal disari sikti eminiski el rhinis beer coxani ye bile kabol modern posagian larina nasal digestirtic larini dusunu ursunas derdersi kutuya germidan once dicatlis goslam lursini sol eli halakilit like lirkin sod sag eli kilitalan mekozareter yani kutunun iseen gerdaginda kutunun isent gizli berbolmid duran bur assistani var buletin assistan and baska berkalepseti daha. Var ve sods o sag elikilit li odaders jabai davranarik elrini kutadan seekerta ur sonrada calypsolar berberine baglani ur ama oradada berhile var calypsolerti hileli ve koleka asilabili or erica de liklerti gordugunasi yakumas heek gorantu il jazir simdi kasi kismina jalalim kutu kopendiktan sonradersi 56 sani ye ve kutunun yukari calderilis shuri sin sahib kutu yukari akokmudun once kutunun ural stiril digi buletin 4 standi goslam lursenas standlardan biranin bersikis yaluk oldugun. Gorursunas burda onu ur altan asokan gizli bergasit vardersi sirsilran onundeki ur his legiti ur ve surprisicasi isen beklier sonandaku tu patli ur ve parkaler ur dusu ur sot calypsolaran kilidini actictan sonra assistant ku tu patladictan sonra habita asili kalan tek parka olan gizli balmai jalir burda gayat govand erica ekranda goranchulnan video numera baslamadan once benzerber or tamda oncedan kadidilmas sekim lertan olosu ur sonandadersi isli sizan I buletin ilizianla. Sasirt may I basari ur sonandalistamas deki and talikili numera geldik talikili matkup numera c onski video larimazda insan larin her turla talikili alimi jersikal sturtigini gordunas ama buletin hepsin and otezant burse sahir baz baslamak isansani bur matkup makini si getirir ve coke garab coke siljan dagostu burse yapmakozarimas jabai goranu ur sonra o matkup may kinsan I bosuna tut may a baslier and cake bursazik belly omwir kendazi gayat I du rumda piki buletin siljan numera I nasal yapi ur. Ist isen siri once likal buletin numere isla ve isla ev dini main simdi is ekertolosunun arkasandaki sur ajalalem makani takali olan matkapukukeskin almatagindan ve does basli old yugundan sahir baz matkabi vukujuna nasal tutarsa tutsan zaten hikber sekilda ona berzarer vermisektir simdi bazilarinis matkaban does basli almazin aragman isari dogrozorla istidagin en azandan bersazik ise birak masi direktigini dusunu ur olabilir buradakas sahir baz sods zorla isti urmis by yapi ur ama. Jersik suki matkup makinisi ters yond hairkated mekozeratazer lanmas matkupukununsverlip bukolu ur jabai goran mazin and netani de buletin and cake sildiasla et lenma ur buletin tamaman ve gazianil masai ist kokukler tumzaman laran and talikili sahir numeralaran and arkasandaki sur lariasiga seekerdik hangi numera and talikili olanidi gozlari kopalikilik numera c me matkup numera c me buletin sarularan sevabanai ve olusturmamiza istidaginis digertum video cumularini de urumlarda biz builder may I unutmayan.